on, guys? Welcome back to a new video as always. So I did take a little bit of a break. I think I took like a month off or so, and that's basically what I do at the end of every year, so that way I can just relax, spend time with family, because New Year's and Christmas, happens basically all together. And I just take a little break so that way I can just think about what I'm going to do for the next new coming season. And with 2021, I'm gonna try a lot of new things. I'm gonna try a lot of different new like editing softwares. I'm gonna try to do a lot of different other videos. But I know this year for sure, once the car season hits in Ohio, I definitely want to get a lot of racing videos. So be on the lookout for those, because I'm gonna try to make those as best as I possibly can. We are on a new filming setup. I'll show you guys a picture here in a second. But as you guys can see, I got a whole new camera setup. I used to film with my 11 Pro Max, but now I have a brand new GoPro 7 or Hero 7 with a Rode mic and a microphone adapter. So this is a whole new setup that I cannot wait to start filming with. Everything looks good. I want the audio quality to be perfect, because that's the only thing that sucks about filming with new phones. And yeah, so other than that, today, because I haven't been up to the shop in a few weeks, and if I did, it's just to come pick up a few parts that I've sold. But we are actually going to be working on the built block today for the blue car. I have all brand new king bearings that I'm going to be putting in this block, and I don't have the pistons just yet. I'm waiting for those to get delivered, and once those get delivered, then I'll go ahead and get a new head gasket and new head studs, and then we can officially put this motor back together. Also, update on the white car. So I dropped the block off at the machine shop because I couldn't get the crank gear off, so I had them take that out, and they ended up boring the motor out 20 over for this car, because I did get Eagle rods and Aries 8/6-1 20 over pistons. So the ACR will be getting a built bottom end. I did pick up a new stock head, because if you guys don't remember, in the last video I showed you, my stock head actually melted on cylinder 1 and 2. I don't know if I can get a good close-up of that, but yeah, cylinder 1 and 2 ended up taking a dump on the head, and I just didn't want to get that head built quite yet. So I am going to sit on that head for a few weeks, or for as long as I need to, until I need to do a built head, because since the ACR is getting a built bottom end, I might as well just start thinking about doing a built head on this, because if you guys don't know, the stock heads on SRTs, they flow like absolute garbage. So I do want to make around 450, 500 on this car as like a nice fun street car. I want AC in it. I want power steering. I want it to be a nice, clean, reliable, fast daily. And then of course this car is just going to be the absolute ripper. So now that I have this is basically getting turned into a straight drag car. So that's the whole plan for 2021. I'm in the works of trying to get a truck, and also my black Neon. It was supposed to be sold, but I ended up having a guy burn me, but it's whatever. It's just chilling out here. It's just chilling out here in the rain, unfortunately. Just chilling out here. So it does have its rust, like in the rear quarter right there, and the rear quarter over here. I don't know if you can see that pretty well, but it is rusting there. It does have full interior. I was trying to sell this thing as a whole, but if you guys need any parts, I will be parting this car out. So the trunk with the drag wing I'm selling, all the doors I'm selling, the hood, the fenders, the wheels, the front mount on this thing. It does have full interior. The door panels are just off because I did take the speakers out to put them in the ACR, but it has a really clean dash. It has a really clean silver radio bezel. Like, the whole interior is pretty clean. Just like I said, the only thing that's wrong with the car is just the rust on the rear quarters. It does have sun fade on the roof, and that's basically about it, but it does have a clean title. It has 155 or 56,000 miles on it, and it does have the PCM and key skim all on that, so we'll be selling that. Has nice new tail lights and everything. So if I can part this out and then sell my Audi, then hopefully I can go get a truck, because I'm gonna need a truck to tow my race car around. So I'm gonna go ahead and start pulling the parts out of the Audi, like the head, the bearings. I got a rear main seal. I got a timing belt, and all these I purchased off eBay, like all cheap as heck. They're all really good parts too. They're King main bearings and rod bearings. I got an OEM Mopar, or kind of like an OEM belt for the ACR, and then what else? Oh, and then just a main seal that I bought for the built motor, but when I had the machine shop put this together, they just put one in there for me. So I'm gonna go ahead and pull those out. But before we get into the actual video of me, working on the block, we got a sponsorship, boys. So let's get to it. All right, guys, what is going on? So right now, this is the sponsor package that I was talking about. Shout out to Juan Ramirez for hooking me up with this. He has seen my videos and he definitely wanted to hook me up with this setup. So he personally messaged me in my Facebook messages, and he asked me if I wanted to try out his plug and play harness for the Wattbox setup. So I couldn't agree more. I told him to send me one out, and he did. And just this product is insane. Like the build quality and everything about this plug and play harness is just crazy. Like you can tell on how much he cares about his work, because if you just look at all this, like all of the wiring is perfect. All of the wiring loom that he puts over it is nice. He even puts heat shrink at the end of these so that way this wiring loom doesn't fray away. And yeah, it is just perfect. So these are actually very well priced. I believe they're 45 to 50 bucks just for this whole entire kit. And these things come in handy, so that way you don't have to use the harness like this that comes with the Wattbox. So that way you don't have to cut into any of your harness. You can just go ahead and use everything that is in this kit. So this is like the main component that plugs into your engine harness, so that way you don't have to cut the I believe it's the green and red wire. And then this is like the TPS sensor and like all the other sensors by the throttle body. This is the I believe cam sensor, or cam connector that you plug into the cam sensor. And then this sensor, or this connector right here, God, I don't know why I keep saying sensors, but this connector right here is a connector that plugs into the clutch pedal to get a clutch signal, so that way it can engage the Wattbox. And then he also hooked me up with 2 of these computer cables, which is dope, so that way I can keep one in the ACR and one in the blue car, because these do come with cables of their own for the laptop, but they either break or, like me, I always lose them. So it's always nice to have extra, and it was pretty awesome for him to send me 2 so that way I can keep them in the cars. And then he also hooks you up with shift lights. He sent me 3, so that way I can put one in the ACR and as well as the built car. And these are dope because he sends you these little eyelets, so that way when you install it, you can go ahead and make it a clean, flush look anywhere you want it in the car. But yeah, these are the shift lights. So yeah, and then he sends you a bunch of zip ties. Like he sent me all these zip ties, so that way I can give it a clean look and tuck everything underneath the dash. And then he also sent me out these connectors. I'm unsure on what these are for. They kind of look like some type of USB cable. I'm not 100% sure. I'd have to ask him about that. But yeah, just like I said, shout out to Juan Ramirez. Look him up on Facebook. I'll put all his info down below in the description. If you guys are interested, shoot him a message. He does fuel pump rewire kits. He's in the process of making a tucked engine harness. Hopefully I can work with him on that, because I would like to get one for the ACR. I already have one for the blue car. And yeah, hit him up. As I said, all his contact information will be down below. And that way you guys can get yourself one of these awesome kits, because I know I'm definitely going to put this to great use once I get the ACR up and running. And of course, show you guys the flames out the hood exit, because we are rolling with hood exit on the ACR. So without further ado, let's get to taking the parts out of the Audi and get to working on the block. All right, so I said, I went and picked up a head from a good buddy of mine, and I got this box of parts right here. It is rear main seal. I got a timing belt down there, as well as some King bearings down there. So I'm gonna go ahead and take this box and the head into the shop, and then let's get to putting the bearings in the built car. All right, so This is everything that I got: rear main seal, timing belt, and some bearings. These bearings I was gonna use for the ACR motor, but I'm just gonna order a new set because I will be picking up the block this week, hopefully. This belt is for the ACR, and then this is for the also was gonna be for the ACR, but I'm just gonna go ahead and finish putting this block together, so that way when the pistons come in, I can just go ahead, throw the rods with the rod bearings in, and then the pistons, and that way that block will be done. But the reason why I want to get the crank in is because I didn't show you guys this, but I was able to get my billet tone wheel in here. I am going to switch up these bolts. These are the OEM bolts that go on the OEM tone wheel, so I am going to get some new bolts that sit flush against this, and then use a shit ton of red Loctite so that way those don't come out. And but before we get to doing all that and throwing this crank in here, I do have to go ahead and pull the oil pump and the ATI dampener off, so that way it makes it a lot easier to put the crank in, and that way I can seal the oil pump up again. But yeah, this cart right here is just everything for the built motor of the blue car. Like, I have this fully built head just chilling here with the Sidewinder. Have like all the cam caps for the head. This are all my BC625 rods, and then like just all this random stuff for like putting the trans back on, and all the other miscellaneous bolts and throw bearings, and the custom valve cover with the -10 AN fittings welded on. So this is basically everything just chilling here. It kind of sucks seeing it like this, but I'm trying my best to get everything together, and as well as the girdle for the crank with the strap kit. So I'm going to go ahead and start pulling the oil pump and the ATI dampener off of that, and then once I get that off, then I can go ahead and start putting the bottom end together without the pistons, of course. But also, this is the head that I picked up for the ACR. The cam lobes did get a little rusty. I do have a set of stock cams that I bought that are in good condition, but I am going to be using this head. I am just going to clean it up a little bit. This one's perfectly fine. There's no issues with this one. So I'm going to go ahead and use that for the ACR, so that way I have 0 issues. And yeah, so let's get to it. Alright, now that I got my gloves on, I got you guys set up on the helmet cam, or the head cam, which honestly comes in handy, which is why this is going to make filming, that's why it's going to take my filming to a whole new level, so that way I don't have to set you guys up. You guys have the first person view, and you can see what I am doing. So just like I said, I'm going to try to find new bolts for this tone wheel, because you can see they don't really sit flush, and that kind of sketches me out a little bit. So I'm gonna go ahead and try to find new ones that fit flush, and then get all that good to go. But the crank still looks perfectly fine, so all the clearances should be good to go. None of that should be messed up. The bearings just looked a little wonky, so that's why I bought new ones. They weren't really destroyed, but since I was in there, I just decided to go ahead and buy some new ones. So the only problem I gotta do now is just get this ATI dampener off and this oil pump. So I'm gonna go ahead and try to think. I think I can just pull off these 3 bolts, because I know these 3 Torx bits down here kind of took a crap on me. So I'm gonna go ahead and just take off these 12 whatever the heck these things are called. I'm just gonna go ahead and take those off, and then I'm gonna go ahead and get a pulley puller, or a crank puller, pull this off, pull the crank pulley off, and then go ahead and slide this oil pump off, so that way I can just go ahead and reseal that. So let's get to it. All right, so I was able to get the crank in with all the new main bearings. Now I'm in the torque process to where I got to torque down all these bolts. I am looking up the torque specs now, and I found this manual page to where it shows you what sequence to torque the bed plate down and like all the crank strap bolts. So just looking through, seeing what the correct procedure is. It says to rotate the crankshaft until number 4 piston is at top dead center. Move crankshaft rearward to limits of travel. And then step 3, move crankshaft forward to limits of travel and wedge an appropriate tool between the rear of the cylinder block, not bed plate, and the rear crankshaft counterweight. This will hold the crankshaft in its furthest forward position. So that way you're setting the perfect alignment for the thrust bearings in the middle. Step 5, install the tighten bolts 1 through 10 in the sequence shown to 30 foot-pounds, and then remove wedge tool used to hold crankshaft. Once you remove that wedge tool, you want to go ahead and tighten the bolts again to 30 foot-pounds in sequence shown in the figure. So in the figure it shows for the crank strap, it goes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and then 9 and 10. And then once you get the middle part of the crank strap torqued down, then you want to go ahead and torque the outer bolts that connect it to the outer ring of the block. So I'm going to go ahead and get this all torqued down, and then once I get the whole bed plate torqued down, then I'll go ahead and get the rear main sealant, and hopefully I can get the oil pump on in the cam gear. I am running low on battery. I think I have like 20% left on the GoPro, so I'm going to hurry up, try to flow through this, and finish up this block. Okay, so after doing a little more digging on the torque specs, I went on some of the old SRT forums, and so for the OEM bolts, it was showing like 30 to 35 pounds for these middle bolts, but since these are ARPs, of course, they're going to be a little different. And the torque spec for these are 70 foot-pounds for these inner ones. So I'm going to go ahead and torque these down to 70, and then I'm going to go ahead and torque the outer 10 millimeter bolts. So my GoPro unfortunately died. It died pretty quick actually, so I'm gonna have to figure that out. But I went ahead and got some sealant on the oil pump, and then I'm just gonna go ahead and clean up this area all around here, and then I'm gonna go ahead and slap the oil pump on, and I'm gonna let it sit for a few minutes and then torque everything down. And then I don't think I'm gonna put the crank gear on just yet. I'm probably just going to wait until I come up here next time to finish putting the pistons and everything on, and then that way I can go ahead and time the motor again. But yeah, I'm gonna go ahead, slap this oil pump on, and then probably get to taking the cams out of that head and getting that thing ready to clean up and get ready to put back on the block. And yeah, so let's get to it and finish this thing up. All right, guys, so just like I said, my GoPro did die. I was able to get the oil pump back on the block. So this is basically where I'm going to leave it for now. I got the billet tone wheel in there. I was able to find bolts that fit. Also, if you do not find bolts and you run this billet tone wheel, it will hit on the crank strap if you have one. So you will have to find new bolts for that. But all I got to do is just wait for the pistons to come in the mail. And once the pistons come in, I can go ahead and throw the king bearings back in, throw the rods and pistons back in, and then just like I said, get head studs and a head gasket, and then that way this motor will be complete again. And then all I have to do is just order the new turbo, because I am getting a new turbo setup for this car, and I am getting new injectors off of my tuner. So then that way I can go ahead and get this thing back up and running again. I did pull all the harnesses out a couple weeks ago because I am redoing those. So this interior is fully gutted again. I'm just gonna clean everything up. So I'm ending it off right here. As always, thanks for watching. Like, comment, subscribe. See you guys in the next one. Peace.